So I wanted to talk more in this module about how we do the work we do, and quantum healing and the vibration frequencies. And this could easily be a 2, 3, 4 hour conversation. In fact, we do talk a lot deeper in other calls, like on our Wednesday calls, on our Thursday intermediate calls. There's lots of areas that we're going to talk more about this, and questions will come up more about this. But let's just go over kind of a highlight of it, because with our form of quantum healing, what we're focused on is getting your body to heal itself. And we do that through helping your body raise its vibration, raise its frequency. As your body begins to raise its frequency, it begins to heal itself. Because, I mean, science has known this for a long time, but there's different frequencies that are associated with different diseases and different conditions. And you can understand this yourself. If you've got a headache or a migraine, you're feeling pretty dense, and that's kind of a lower frequency. And when you don't have that, and everything else is going okay, and maybe you're in a feeling of joy or laughter or gratitude, you can feel how much higher your body is vibrating or feeling. So that's in general what we're talking about. But we're being very, very specific, because when we do a treatment on you, we're connecting to very specific frequencies that are out there in the universe that help your body to raise its frequency and raise its vibration. And as your body raises its vibration, it begins to heal yourself. So this is what we talked about, or what I mentioned, that we're a healer facilitator in the previous module, because we're facilitating your body to raise its vibration. And when we help your body to raise its vibration, it begins to do the healing that it needs to do. So we don't have to focus on, do we need to focus on the knee? Do we need to focus on the hip? You may come to us with a knee problem, but maybe the real issue is in your hip and you never knew it, and we didn't know it. So we don't need to worry about that. What we need to know is, what are your goals? And then, as we're helping your body raise its vibration, your body begins to do what it needs to do to heal your knee. And your body will know that, okay, in order to heal the knee, we need to heal the hip too. You and I may never know that, but that may be what actually happens. And then the knee begins to heal. So that's just kind of an example of us letting go of focusing on a specific thing versus, here's what the goals are that you've come to us for. We're going to help you achieve those goals, and we're letting go of exactly how your body does it, because your body's going to know a lot more about that. So the frequencies, these frequencies, many different frequencies that Nidra was given the very specific radio dial to, so to speak, that are designed for our bodies to heal physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. They work on many different levels, and there are different frequencies that will do different things that she has learned and has taught me how to tune into. So it's kind of like, I think the best analogy is the radio. So right now, where you are, unless you're on the top of Mount Everest or something like that, but right now there are multiple radio frequencies floating around you. You don't feel them, you don't see them, you don't hear them, but they're there right now. They're right around you. But if you have the right device, in this case a radio, if you turn on your radio, and it's not just turning on your radio, you also have to know which of those frequencies you want, because you just turn on your radio, you can get static, and much of it is static, so it's not really helping you. But if you know that 98.5 is my station, that's the one I want to tune into, when you tune that radio dial, you get it. Now, if you try to get that station at 98.0, you get a bunch of static. So to know the exact frequency is super important. And right now, there are probably millions, if not billions, of frequencies floating around you. There's all kinds of light frequencies, and we know, there's infrared, and there's, X-ray, and there's, all kinds. I'm not scientific. So, but there's all kinds of light frequencies that are floating around you, probably thousands of frequencies that you could tune into if you had the ability to do that. There's sound frequencies. There's different kind of energetic frequencies, and there are specific frequencies that can help your body to heal and to help you raise your vibration in different ways. So to know which ones to tune into, that's the trick. That's the trick, and that's what we're able to do. We're able to tune into very specific frequencies. So when we do a treatment, when we do, for instance, a group treatment, we're opening a portal of energy where we're pulling each of you in as an individual into kind of that portal of energy, and then we're helping your bodies connect to this specific frequency that we're here to use in that specific treatment. And this is why it can work so well in a group treatment, because then your body is taking that frequency, raising its vibration, and why it is so effective in the group treatment, because even though it's the same frequency that we're working with everybody, that same frequency will do something very specific, very individual for each of you. So the as an example, one frequency is the frequency of balance. That frequency, when we call that in, is working on the physical level, the emotional level, the mental level, the spiritual level, but it's your body's taking it and using from it what it needs. So if in the moment your body really needs this energy to help with the physical healing, it will do that, and it will know how to do that, to raise its frequency on the physical level to match the frequency. So you're raising your vibration. And some treatments that you have, your body will take that energy and it'll be working on multiple levels. It'll be working in emotional, it'll be working on spiritual. And another treatment, it'll be doing something completely different with the same frequency. So all of you will be taking those frequencies. Your bodies will take it and use them in unique ways, in the ways that you need it. So it's really powerful stuff. I mean, I could talk and talk and talk about this, and we'll talk more about it in another module. But this is kind of the core of what we're doing when we're doing a treatment. And that's the same with the private treatments. If you're part of the premium program and I'm doing a private treatment on you, well, I'm being more specific with certain frequencies that I hear to use with you specifically. So that's just a faster program, but please know that they both our programs are incredible, and at least half of our testimonials are from people that have only done the group healing program. So yes, if you want to upgrade, great, but you're getting a lot with learning how to do this with the group treatment as well. Now, how long will it take is often the question, and it's a great question, and I wish I could tell you exactly. And I want to give you an analogy of the process, because let's imagine that your health is like a freight train, except right now, the reason you've come to us, whether it's physical or emotional or spiritual, but it's on a path that you're not wanting. So that train is barreling down a direction that this freight train that is not the direction you want to go. It's barreling down the tracks towards poor health, poor emotional health, poor spiritual health, whatever that is. Now, in order to help you heal, we've got to do a few things. Number one, we've got to slow that train down. And this is a freight train. If this freight train has been barreling down those tracks for years or decades, well, it could take longer to slow that down. Not always, not necessarily, but just know that that's one of the factors that could take have it take a little longer. So the first thing that has to be done is to slow that train down, and then eventually to stop that train, and then eventually to start taking that train the other direction towards optimal health, and taking that freight train that way. Now, in the process of slowing down the freight train, you might not feel any difference, because what that means is we're stopping the progression of what's going on with you. So you might not notice you're feeling any better. You're just not getting worse. And sometimes you don't know that you're not getting worse. So in this time that we're slowing down that freight train, it's about having patience. It's about knowing, okay, something's happening. The healing is going on. I may or may not feel it yet, but this is part of the slowing down the freight train. And even stopping the freight train is the same thing. You may not feel any better yet because we've stopped completely now the progression of what's going on. Now, to order to start to feel better, we got to start pushing that train and start moving that train the other direction. And just with this analogy, that can take a little bit of time to start getting up some speed. But as it starts going faster and faster, it gets easier and easier to continue. So that's the time where you start to feel your symptoms getting a little better, or getting a lot better, or having a day where it's better, and maybe a day where it's not better. But this is where we're starting to break those patterns. We're starting to get your body to move back in the direction that you really want it to move. And that sometimes that whole process can happen within a matter of a week or 2 weeks. Sometimes that's months. So it is the reason why we want you to be with us for at least 6 weeks, to really give your body a chance to go through that whole process, to begin to turn things around. We know that when it comes to people that come to us with like stage 4 cancer, we want them to give us 3 months, because it's going to take longer to start to notice those changes, start to notice those things. So there's different things on the physical level that can cause it to take longer. And we can't always predict that. Sometimes somebody's come to us with something that they've had for decades and it changes fast. Other times they can come to us with something that they've had for months and it could take a little longer. There's so many unique reasons with your body, because there could be emotional resistance that's connected, and some of the emotional patterns may be far older than the physical. So there may be some old emotional fears or blocks that didn't create something physical in the beginning, but because they've been going on in the background subconsciously for decades, eventually your physical body started to respond to those. Maybe it's, stress or anxiety that actually does play a toll on your physical body, but your body can handle it for a while, but then at some point it starts to break down. So in order to heal from something that was caused emotionally, we might have to heal the emotional patterns. We might have to help your body to release some of those patterns. So sometimes the healing starts emotional before the physical happens. Sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes it's physical and then the emotional, but oftentimes, I would say the majority of times, it's a combination of that. Your body is going to be healing a little bit of the emotional, then it'll heal a little physical, and then maybe it'll go back to some emotional, or maybe do a bunch of emotional, and then back to physical. So your body's going to be the guide. Your body's the conductor. Your body will take it and do what it needs to do with it. So the other thing that people sometimes are concerned with is they'll start to feel better, and then the next day they'll feel the same way or worse again. And they'll think, oh, the healing didn't stay, or it didn't stick, or it didn't work. And I want to say with our work, that's just the opposite of what's happening. What's really happening is now we're starting to break the patterns. And if you can have an hour better than you did before this week, maybe next week we can turn that hour into a day better. And maybe the next week we can turn that day into 3 days better. So your body might heal. It rarely heals on a linear path. So it might heal. The intensity of your symptoms might be what changes, but maybe the intensity of your symptoms stay the same, but what changes the frequency. And it just happens less and less and less until it doesn't happen at all. So there's a lot of different ways that your body will heal, and that's going to be unique to you. You're gonna discover what that looks like as a result of working with us. Now, one of the other questions is, how can we do this at a distance? That's a great question, and I want to say that people have been doing distance healing for a long time. There's modalities out there that's all they do is distance healing. Science has proven it. If you want to dive into the science behind it, the quantum physics is the realm of science that is really proving a lot of what we do is real. But just as an example, you can dive into quantum entanglement, which they've actually done test after test after test to show that you could have a cell on the other side of the world, and you could have somebody over on the opposite side of the world thinking about something about that and focusing on it, and they actually can change the properties of that cell. So they've proven that your thoughts can affect change around the world. We've just studied how to do this to a greater effect. We've learned how to connect to somebody. So we were able to connect to you in many different ways. So we can do that by a picture. We can do that by your name. We can do that by your name and your birthday, just to make sure, and your address. So that's why we ask for a little bit of information from you in the intake form and in the symptom list. You're going to be updating, as you probably already have, putting your picture in and telling us your name and your address and your birthday. So anything that becomes, identifiable for us. But once we connect to you, once we have just enough information to connect, then it's easy for me to energetically connect to you at any time in the future when I'm focusing on you, whether it's private or whether it's in group. Even when we do the group, I'm looking at each of you first individually and pulling you into the group. So I am connecting directly with each of you first. So, how can you speed up the work? By continuing, first of all, finish off the intro course, because we're going to teach you things that you can do for yourself. This is about you being involved. This is about you learning how to do some of this for yourself. This is about you being able to take these frequencies on your own long after you're done with us, to use them to raise your vibration for whatever it possibly is coming down the road that you might encounter. So listen to these recordings and join the Wednesday calls, because there's a lot more tips. And you can listen to the past recordings of the Wednesday calls. There's hours, there's hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of hours of recordings that are available to you to go back and listen to learn more as much as you want.